Imagine walking out to your backyard early in the morning. The mist is still rising off the lake. The air feels cool, and the water glimmers with gold under the sunlight. You cast your fishing line, take a deep breath, and feel peace, real peace. That was Marcus Johnson's favorite part of every day. His lake wasn't just water. It was a sanctuary, a place where he could forget the noise of the world, breathe, and remember how far he'd come. But that peace didn't last. One morning, Marcus stepped onto his dock and froze. The air smelled like chemicals, sharp, unnatural, wrong. His stomach sank. The water wasn't clear anymore. It was cloudy and strange. As he walked closer, he saw something that made his heart stop. Dozens of fish floating lifelessly on the surface. Their silver bodies glimmered in the sunlight. But this time, it wasn't beautiful. It was horrifying. Marcus dropped his fishing pole, his hands trembling. He didn't understand what happened. He hadn't changed anything, hadn't done anything different. He'd only been fishing quietly every morning. So why did it suddenly look like his lake had been poisoned? At first, he thought maybe it was nature, a random algae bloom, or an accident. But deep down, something fell off. Because just days before, he'd had yet another argument with the HOA president, Karen Whitmore. She had threatened to take care of the problem if he kept fishing. Marcus thought she meant another warning letter. Not this. He didn't know it yet. But the very people meant to protect the community had turned against him. And worse, their plan was about to backfire in a way no one could have imagined. Marcus thought the dead fish were the end of it. But what the HOA had done would soon poison much more than his lake. It would poison their entire world. Before everything went wrong, Marcus Johnson was just a new guy on the block. A retired Navy engineer and small business owner. He'd saved for years to buy this lakeside dream home. It wasn't about showing off. It was about peace. The neighborhood was part of a private gated community in Georgia, run by a strict homeowners association. The kind where lawns had to be exactly 2 inches high. Trash bins had to be hidden, and you couldn't even hang wind chimes without approval. Marcus didn't mind. He followed rules. But he quickly noticed something strange. The rules seemed to apply to him more than anyone else. When he went fishing at sunrise, people would stare. When he invited a few friends for a quiet barbecue, complaints would pour in about noise. When his relatives visited, someone would always report suspicious vehicles. And the woman behind it all was always the same. Karen Whitmore, the HOA president. Karen acted like she owned the place. She had lived there for years, and the HOA board treated her word like law. From the first day, she made it clear she didn't think Marcus fit in. Fishing isn't allowed on this side of the lake, she told her with that fake HOA smile, the kind that hides venom. Marcus calmly pulled out the HOA handbook and showed her the clause that said homeowners had full lake access. Her smile vanished. From then on, she started nitpicking everything. His boat was too large. His deck lights were too bright. Even his American flag was too noticeable. Marcus realized it wasn't about rules. It was about him. He started documenting every encounter, every letter, every threat, just in case. But nothing could prepare him for what she'd do next. Marcus thought the HOA's harassment would stop at words and warnings. He had no idea they were planning something truly sinister, something that would poison not just his peace, but the entire community. IT started with whispers. HOA board members meeting late, avoiding eye contact when Marcus passed. Then one night, he saw headlights by the lake. Curious, Marcus peeked through his blinds. 3 people, Karen and 2 men from the board, were standing by the water with large plastic containers. He couldn't tell what they were doing, but he saw them open the lids and pour something into the lake. The next morning, the water was murky. By noon, the fish were dead. Marcus's heart sank. He called the HOA office immediately. "Oh, that must be a natural occurrence," the secretary said casually. "We'll send someone to check." No one came. So Marcus checked the security footage, and what he saw made his blood run cold. The same 3 people, in the middle of the night, pouring an unknown liquid into his lake. He replayed the clip over and over, barely believing it. The HOA, the same group supposed to maintain the beauty of the community, had poisoned the lake to keep him from fishing. But why go that far? Later, Marcus overheard Karen bragging at a community event, saying, "Well, at least someone won't be catching fish anymore." Her friends laughed. Marcus knew then that this was intentional. He called an environmental agency, but the investigation process was slow. So he decided to keep quiet for now, to see how far they'd go. Days passed. The water got worse. Birds stopped landing. Even the plants around the lake started to wilt. And then something strange began happening across the neighborhood. Marcus thought the HOA's poison would only ruin his lake. But within a few days, it started spreading through pipes, faucets, and taps into everyone's homes. At first, it was small complaints. "The water smells weird. My shower stings. My dog won't drink tap water." Within days, dozens of families were affected. People got rashes, their plants died, and the whole neighborhood smelled like bleach. Marcus watched silently as panic spread. The HOA called a meeting to investigate the water issue, pretending to be shocked. But Marcus already knew the truth. The county's environmental inspectors arrived and ran tests. The results stunned everyone. The lake had been contaminated with a banned pesticide so toxic that even small traces could cause severe health effects. But here's where it got worse. That lake wasn't just a view. It was part of the community's water system. Every house drew filtered water from it. The HOA's chemical attack had poisoned their own drinking water. News crews arrived. County officials shut down the water supply. And in the middle of it all, Marcus handed the police his video footage. When they saw the evidence, Karen and the board dumping the chemicals, arrests followed fast. The story spread like wildfire. HOA poisons lake, contaminates neighborhood. Marcus didn't have to say a word. Karma had already done the talking. But the real twist wasn't just the arrests or the fines. It was how Marcus turned the disaster into victory, and how the HOA paid in ways they never expected. The aftermath was brutal. The HOA was fined over $1.2 million in environmental penalties, plus restitution for damages. Karen was charged with illegal dumping and reckless endangerment. The community turned on her. The same neighbors who once sided with her now blamed her for their ruined water, dying pets, and property values that plummeted overnight. Meanwhile, Marcus stayed calm. He didn't celebrate, he rebuilt. He sold part of his land to the county for cleanup and restoration at triple its original value. That money funded his dream project, Johnson's Lakeside Lodge, a peaceful public fishing retreat where everyone, regardless of race, status, or background, was welcome. Reporters swarmed him for interviews. When one asked if he had any message for the HOA, Marcus smiled and said, "Sometimes you don't need revenge. Just let the truth flow. It'll find its way back to them." His quote went viral. Karen and her board moved out quietly, shamed and broke. But Marcus's lake was cleaned, refilled, and alive again, a symbol of resilience and poetic justice. The HOA tried to destroy him. Instead, they destroyed themselves. So, what do you think? Should Marcus have forgiven them or taken him down harder? Let me know in the comments, because this story proves one thing. You can poison a lake, but you can't drown the truth.